Human beings busy themselves in worldly pursuit and find their pleasure there. It is difficult for men to understand the laws that govern spiritual balance for themselves and the universe. Yet, for time immemorial, people have felt a connection to more than they can perceive through their senses. Gazing at the stars, contemplating their lives, working with dreams, all of this provides an opening to establish a relationship with these other dimensions. Dharma is the life dedicated to this spiritual pursuit. Ancient religions use the fire ceremony, or yagna, which means sacrifice in Sanskrit, for purification, obeisance to the gods, formal honor to gurus and great beings, and as ritual to concretize dharma. It is unusual for Westerners to have the opportunity to participate in such an event. Yet, in 1992, under the auspices of the Hard Light Meditation Center and the Malibu Hindu Temple, a fully consecrated 3-day yagna was conducted to honor Swami Muktananda's passing, or his Mahasamadhi, and the Hindu goddess Mahashakti in all of her aspects. Mark Griffin, founder of the Hard Light Meditation Center, is able to integrate Eastern and Western systems of belief. A skilled meditation teacher, he believes the use of the ancient yagna has profound impact in contemporary America.
Yagna is sacred fire. It is an art and a science of constructing a reality whereby all the fields of consciousness become transparent and the force of God is brought into this world. The science involved is completely mystical. It has to do with the manipulation of powerful fields of awareness which can be coalesced into streams and appear through gates of spiritual activity with the manipulation of symbols and mantra. Yagna reminds people of the simple wisdom of making space in their lives through meditation and contemplation of the self. That awakens us from our sleep and instills vibrancy, drama, beauty, and power to our lives. The effect of yagna is one of purification and clearing of obstacles. The spirit of the yagna is to generate healing and harmony in all the planes and latitudes of awareness. Living in close contact with the inner self is what the Hard Light Meditation Center is about.
The participants in the 1992 yagna were multicultural, ranging from Western meditation students, Hindus, the curious, to ordinary Americans without religious affiliation. The external form of the ceremony is an aid. It provides an opportunity for the individual to enter into and become consciously involved with creation. The yagna has a particular structure which must be followed. The building of the mandap, the housing of the yagna, the construction of the fire pit, the date set for the ceremony, the deities invoked are precisely determined.
Straight back in. 1, 2, 3. Back. Thank you. So get yourself situated on this side of the hole.
It was very magical. We were very involved. I was very involved in the building of the mandap, and we made certain decisions along the time that were sort of forced on us, some of them by mistake, seemingly, and certain dimensions just came about because of stock sizes that were available and the materials we were using. And it turned out when we got up there, and if we had made any different decisions, the thing would not have fit at all. I mean, it would just fit perfectly into the lot and the space we were having. It was very magical, and watching this whole thing come sort of alive and form a life of its own. And then that manifested itself during the ceremony, too.
The place where the yagna is held is purified. The Brahmin priests, who are the only Hindus empowered to conduct the ceremony, perform anugai, a request to the deities to perform the yagna.
The Brahmins undergo a very intense yogic training. To become a Brahmin, you must be born into a rabbinical family. They have a very rigorous code of education and method, a way of living that brings about a very distinct quality and vibration. They're a very rare kind of human being. The Brahmins conducting these yagnas are all very accomplished yogis and know what they're doing.
During the Maha Ganesha Puja, obstacles to the performance of the yagna are removed.
Whenever very potent spiritual forces are brought into this world, it's as if you're seeing a force of incredible purity pushing aside clouds of obscuration. And when that happens, wherever there is a juxtaposition of those two kinds of energy in one space, obstacles can easily arise either in the lives of the participants or to the event itself. And the quality and the propitiation of Ganesha is to minimize those kinds of obstacles.
The Mahashakti Yagna for world peace is protected in 4 directions by the deities charged with the function of guardianship, protection, and stabilization. They ward off negative forces. Beloved Ganesha resides in the west as remover of obstacles and destroyer of illusion. His color is white, and he is the holder of wisdom, intelligence, and discrimination. Durga is the guardian of the north. Her color is red. She stands alone. Her feminine potency represents the combined power of the gods. She is a warrior, ever victorious and undefeated. Her spirit is the sacred essence of the yagna. Rudra is the guardian of the south. He is the universal monarch and primary protector of earth. His color is rust red. He is vital to those who seek liberation through the yogic path. He is inclined to help human beings and serves his students. An ascetic, his followers must surrender the substance of their ignorance and delusion. Vishnu protects the east. His color is yellow. His spirit is the essence of the universal force of cohesion and preservation. His name Vishnu comes from the root vis, which means spread in all directions.
Mark Griffin was describing the structure of the mandap, which is the building in which the yagna takes place. He was describing how the deities would actually be placed in boxes at the 4 corners of the mandap. I thought that was really very unusual because I'm not a Hindu person, and so that kind of thing is really outside of my experience. But we were meditating that evening, and as I was meditating, in my mind appeared the boxes. And I got to look inside the box, and inside the box was what appeared to be a statue made out of fire, a very brightly luminous structure or object in the shape of a being, in the shape of a person sitting down. And I thought that was really kind of very beautiful, but I didn't understand what it meant or anything. So later on, when we were actually constructing the mandap, the Brahmins put photographs of statues and things that represented the deities that were being invoked in the various parts of the mandap. And there was a photograph of what I had seen in the vision. And as far as I know, I had never seen anything like that before. So I asked Mark about it, and he said that that was the representation of Vishnu, the Krishna form of Vishnu.
The 1992 Mahashakti Yagna for world peace is unusually potent because it combines the tradition of purity of the Hindu Brahmin ceremony with the Siddha lineage. Siddhas are enlightened adepts who pass their spark through a designated chain of extraordinary people. Swami Muktananda Paramahamsa consecrated in his lineage with Mark Griffin's guru. This yagna celebrates the 10th anniversary of his physical death.
What is offered to the guru, what the yagna offers the lineage holders, the siddhas, is a full mandala with every detail of offering and nuance of offering established and given. Blessings flow in great abundance from the yagna because the beings who come to them are not deal makers. Their action arises from a place of complete freedom. It should be also said that the Guru principle, generates the blessings of the Guru lineage. These are the enlightened beings of the three times and places, the past, present, and future. They also are propitiated. Because of the Guru principle, more than any other principle in the pantheon of energies, which brings about spiritual evolution in the mind of the practitioners. That energy is the swiftest and most compassionate in its availability. It makes itself a servant to any genuine spiritual effort or endeavor.
Oh, the significance for me of doing the sacrifice in the fire is that you take an ordinary object and through your prayers or through your experience of it, you take this ordinary flower and then you make it sacred, and then it holds on to its sacredness. And then by throwing it into the fire, you allow not just the object, but everything, the sacredness that's invoked around the object to transform and kind of be let out into the universe. So it's a transformation on a physical level, which to me was very completely symbolic of the transformation on many other levels. You really let it go up to God, up out into the atmosphere.
The Homan begins and the deities are honored with mantras and offerings to the Yagna fire. Many different kinds of materials are burned in varying combinations to create an atmosphere purifying to the environment. Purifications occur on a physical and spiritual level, dispelling pollution. The offerings summon and please the deities. Different kinds of woods are offered: sandalwood, pine spruce. Clarified butter called ghee is important as it adds heat to the fire and helps other items burn. Milk, honey, fruits, herbs, camphor, grains, metals, and silk are also offered. Each deity has their mantra repeated 1,008 times during each session. The benefits to people who attend are clear.
There is a component in the yagna of a peregrination, where the spiritual forces of a given spiritual civilization are established and made to appear. You are brought into contact with these levels of energy simply for being there. Simply for being involved in any level in the building or creation of the mandala that brings the yagna about. Through proximity, you come into a deeper field and a deeper view. As your consciousness becomes more subtle, you can learn to modify and modulate and change based on what you understand and what you see in those times. Step by step, that increases your cultivation and evolution.
Pray just whatever you wish. It's going to offer to the beginning.
It was as if I could reach back and touch this sacred, living, breathing, devotional act that went back to the beginning of time. How many times do you get to do that? It was incredible, and there were many, many special moments.
Akila Bhuvana Mapa Venukam Mariruva Om Kadyayani Kalaratri.
Attending the yagna affords the opportunity for both an internal meditative experience and an external ceremonial one.
The beauty of the sacred fire within the yagna tradition is the quality of formality, that it lends the extremely subtle inner world. The very formality itself becomes useful in organizing time and space in such a way that we can use to understand the experience. The Yagna makes in formally visible terms more what the inner reality is like. When your consciousness becomes more fluid after being dosed and saturated in the self, you end up living in a world of powerful symbols and waves of energy and consciousness that take up no time and occupy no space. The structure of the Yagna externalizes this unspeakably subtle reality.
Shambho Mahadeva Shiva Shankara, Shambho Mahadeva Shiva Shankara, Gangadhara Gopidhara, Gangadhara Gopidhara, Bimbadhara Chandramaulishara, Bimbadhara Chandramaulishara, Bimbadhara Chandramaulishara, Bimbadhara Chandramaulishara, Shambho Mahadeva Shiva Shankara, Shambho Mahadeva Shiva Shankara, Haragara Mahadeva Shaileshara, 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 Chandramaulishara, Bimbadhara Chandramaulishara, Bimbadhara Chandramaulishara, Bimbadhara Chandramaulishara, Shambho Mahadeva Shiva Shankara, Shambho Mahadeva Shiva Shankara.
Even I, with my unsophisticated level, there were things reverberating. And that's also that point when they would stop chanting simultaneously. There'd be that moment of silence. And that was like a hole punched into space right at that moment. And then the offering would go in. And then there was the whoosh. So it was almost like all the continued sounds and all the continued actions and movement kind of went to build to that peak of that that punch of silence within all the sound and the movement. And then the sacrifice was made, and then it would go on.
In the early morning of the final day, a very special ceremony known as the chandi was conducted by special request. It called down the Mahashakti goddess realm to earth. This was the first time this ritual was performed in the western United States. The chandi can only be conducted when certain conditions are met. Special offerings of sweet rice, grapes, and pomegranate were made. The chandi summons the dream body of the goddess, her power manifestation. The effect was extraordinary. The Great Mother is honored above all in this yagna. She is represented in three aspects: the queens of the yagna. Saraswati is the goddess of intelligence, knowledge, and speech, literature, and the arts. She is consort to Brahma. Her refined nature influences the higher mind and forces of discrimination. Lakshmi is the goddess of wealth and provides fortune both in the spiritual and material world. Her nature is stable and expresses royal power. Her nature is beauty. She is the very expression of cohesion, purity, and radiance.
In Vedic practice and in the performance of ritual magic through the Brahminical systems, Durga, the spirit of Durga, is the very essence of Yagna. She is the spirit of sacrifice and is always invoked. She is always present. She is the power reflex of the gods. She is that aspect of the mother that destroys and creates as a form of grace as she performs the protection and is the spontaneous protector of the spirit of Yagna.
The biggest surprise for me, coming out of other traditions and similar traditions doing ritual, and I've always been attracted to the beauty of it. This was so pure and so powerful, and just this unbroken chain through the ages that was tangible, and I could be involved in it, and it's almost like seeds were planted during that time, and they're growing and flourishing and blossoming inside of me.
The accumulated force inherent in the skill of the structure of the sacred fire, the mechanics of the yagna itself. The group force brings you into contact with fields and levels of awareness that your present abilities would never even come close to. If understood correctly and used correctly, enormous leaps in evolution are possible. Enormous. The sacred fire is a tool used in the tantric wing of spiritual training, and it's present in all religions. It involves the ability to focus enormous forces of purification and spiritual evolution. It is important to know that the impact of such an event reaches incalculable levels of degree and permeates every level of reality with great force and saturation. It is the universality of its speech which causes that. It is important to understand or grasp the fact that the speech involved in this kind of activity is extremely fluid. Never allow yourself to be tricked by the simple presence of the external function of the ritual, thinking that is its end all. The form of the ritual is a powerful vehicle of spiritual intent. The ritual is a field of action. It is a formal act of power, a gesture with the Great Spirit. All aspects of your action and activity measure in.
My impressions of the Yagna is it's sort of an adventure into something very mystical and over my head. I've got to admit, though, that my 4-year-old son, who participated at ages 2 and 3, has it much clearer. I show him a picture of the Yagna, ask him what it is, and even before he could barely talk, after the first Yagna, he just says, "That's God."
At the conclusion of the Yagna, the protective and reigning deities are released. The ceremony ends with the Mahapurnahuti, its generous offerings, and the Maha-arati, the waving of the lights ceremony.
For at least 3 months after the experience, I have felt this sort of joyful energy inside me that was almost a sweet type of energy, and I could just be working or doing anything, and I could close my eyes and just my thoughts would go still, and I would be very calm.
Just dwelling on aspects of fire, making the meaning of the ceremony clear. Its heat and brilliance, the upward direction, purity, and ability to devour illustrate the individual's relation to the divine. Fire accumulates nothing. Everything is a sacrifice, an object consumed and transformed.